The word of Yahweh was to Abram, saying,
He that shall come forth out of thy own bowels shall be thy heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward skies, and number the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said to him, So shall thy seed be.
And he was trusting in Yahweh, and he reckoned it to him for righteousness. In that day Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying,
To thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Mithraim to the great river, the river Purat.
Bereshit, Genesis chapter 16. Now Sarai, Abram's woman, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, a Mithrit, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, Behold now, Yahweh hath restrained me from bearing. Go in, I pray thee, to my handmaid. It may be that I shall obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's woman, took Hagar the Mithrit, her handmaid, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to Abram her husband, to be his woman. And he went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said to Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I gave my handmaid into thy bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Yahweh judge between me and thee. But Abram said to Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her that which is good in thy eyes. And Sarai dealt hardly with her, and she fled from her face. And Yahweh's messenger found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's handmaid, whence comest thou? And whither goest thou? And she said, I am fleeing from the face of my mistress, Sarai. And Yahweh's messenger said to her, Return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands. And Yahweh's messenger said to her, I will greatly multiply thy seed, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And Yahweh's messenger said to her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and thou shalt call his name Yishmael, because Yahweh hath heard thy affliction. And he shall be as a wild donkey among men, and his hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell opposite all his brothers. And she called the name of Yahweh that spoke to her, Thou art a God that seeth. For she said, Have I also here seen after the one seeing me? For what reason the well was called Be'er Lahai-roi? Behold, it is between Kadesh and Barad. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bare, Yishmael. And Abram was 86 years old, when Hagar bare Yishmael to Abram. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, Yahweh appeared to Abram, and said to him,
I am God Almighty. Walk before me, and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly.
And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying,
As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be the father of a multitude of nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For the father of a multitude of nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, throughout their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God to thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give to thee and to thy seed after thee the land of thy sojournings, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God.
And God said to Abraham,
And as for thee, thou shalt keep my covenant, thou and thy seed after thee, throughout their generations. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep, between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every male among you shall be circumcised.